I saw Dave Odepper out on his bike the other day. First time he's out since he had his open heart surgery.
We're hot.
What's that?
On the mega Dave?
Yeah. He went in for, what is that, where they put stents? And they said if he wouldn't went in that day, he would have had a widowmaker. And I think it was a week later he had open heart surgery.
So he went in to have a stent put in?
Yep.
Yeah, sure he did the same thing. Went in to have a stent put in, and like, we had bypass.
Moral of the story, don't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
That's what Dave said. It's like, I didn't know anything.
Nothing wrong.
Because they tried to sell you the stent, don't they?
He's like, I felt bad. I don't know anything.
Isn't it crazy? Just
Like almost completely lost, and they're like, yeah, you would have had a widowmaker within probably 72 hours. Order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody that came to the meeting tonight. Have a roll call. Michelle?
Here.
Larry?
Here.
Megan? Here. Sarah? Here. I'm here. Motion to approve the agenda as presented or as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Go to vote. Michelle?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
I say yes. Consent agenda.
Make motion. Second.
Go to vote. Larry?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
I say yes. Michelle?
Yes.
We'll have the update.
Thank you, Mayor. The Iwalu is having an adventure race this week, and I'm sure you guys have seen it, stuff online. It's actually drawn an incredible amount of publicity and teams from like around the region. And so we're very fortunate enough, we're going to have a geo flag wrapped around the stem of the strawberry. And the elite teams, like the several teams that they think might actually finish the adventure race, will have that one as like the final geo tag. So they just like walk up to it and they have a device that checks them in. I thought that would be great to get a little traffic, out of the woods and into the city. So we're really happy about that. That'll be kind of neat. So if you see some adventure runners trotting around town, they're looking for our giant strawberry. And then that's the only update outside of the context of the discussion that we'll have next.
Okay. New business. Motion to discuss Strawberry Point Lutheran Home request for reimbursement.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Okay. So as you've seen in the packets, there was a request by the Lutheran Home that we cover some expenses from a recent power outage. I have Alan here who's going to walk us through kind of what happened and why it happened. And then I also put a memo in your packet that just has a reference to our city code regarding power outages, and then some things to consider to sort of work into the discussion. So Alan, if you don't mind just giving us a very quick rundown of like what happened at and if you can come up here so we can get it on the microphone.
As you know, you approved burying new high voltage cable down to the North Lagoon a while back. So when it came time to have that done, Eric and I went down behind the Lutheran Home to do the locating to locate the underground wire. And so then that was a few days before that, whatever. And then West Union Trenching showed up to do it, and I went down there and kind of talked to him some more. Went back to my shop. I'm sitting in my shop, and the lights go, like And, so I go down there. Well, what had happened was the cabinet that we had intended to hook our power into was discontinued. It wasn't being used, and we didn't know that. And that's where we attached the locating equipment when we did the locates to see where the wires went. So, in fact, all we did was locate the unused wires that were still in the ground. Somebody should have put some tagging on that cabinet to let us know that it wasn't live, because there's no easy way to check. I mean, when you open that up, you just assume it's live, and you can't make any other choice. So, that being the case, when they discontinued that cabinet, the new cables went to the west of that and looped around and bypassed it and went over there. Well, when they dropped the plow in, they hooked into those wires, tore them out of the transformer, tore them out of the junction box up the hill, shorted out the circuit, knocked it out. So we were able to get the circuit turned back on after we isolated that coming down to the Lutheran home. But so it was an error in locating on our part that we didn't locate the wires properly. It's a good thing nobody got hurt when they hooked into those 13,000 volt wires. But anyway, so I had a conversation with a person from Elm Key Clayton today, and it verified what my thought was. Power companies never really guarantee that you're going to have electricity 24 hours a day, every day. That isn't a guarantee they make. So when there is a power outage, if it's critical to you, you have generators, which the Lutheran home does. They have 2 of them. That's why they have generators, because they realize the power isn't always 100% reliable. So from talking to REC, they don't have a policy of ever reimbursing anybody for the fuel they would use to make up for the electricity that they can't purchase. It just isn't something that they do, because then every time there was an outage of some length, and everybody that had generators would be submitting bills to them and saying, you should pay us back because we had a generator on electricity. That's just not the way it works. But it did take us, I had 3 crews down there trying to make the repairs, so it took us till about 6:30 to get the power back on that day, so it was off for an extended period of time. But there's been at least 2 other occurrences that I know of that the power lines coming to Strawberry had a problem back a ways, and we had 2 different outages of 12 hours. They were affected, yes, they were. And it's the same thing when there is that kind of an outage and we run our generation, we don't get paid for that just because the electricity isn't there to purchase. We eat the fuel cost on generating, and that's for us, for the town, that's about $400 an hour for the fuel. So, but that's what they're asking. It was just an oversight on the locating, which was unfortunate, and that cost a fair amount of money to get that repaired and stuff.
I wouldn't even say it's fair to say an oversight. Like, I went down there and looked at it, and the way that the electricity was laid out there was, and I'm not an electrician, but was completely illogical. They had bypassed what do you call it?
The junction.
The junction. Yeah, they completely bypassed one and went around it. And so, if you were going to go down there and draw a map to say what's the most logical place where the electric goes, they did it the opposite way.
So are we leaving that cabinet there?
The cabinet was still there, and
But are we leaving it there?
It's in use now.
Yeah.
We turned it into a live cabinet and looked into it.
Okay.
And documented it, I'm hoping?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lesson learned.
Well,
I guess-
now it's pretty obvious.
Right, I'm more worried about the safety, that what
Right.
could have been.
Right.
What is our process when we're digging into these? Are we doing a one call, or you guys do all the markings?
Well, that's part of the one call,
You did
one
one
call was
call.
called in, I didn't call the one call in, West Union Trenching did, because they
Okay.
were doing the digging.
Mhm.
And when they call one call, City of Strawberry Point gets notified.
And you guys do the
And
market.
Eric and Garrett are the primary people that do the locating, but on the high voltage stuff, I have to open up the cabinet and clamp over the high voltage wires. So that's why I was involved. Normally on most locates, I'm not involved in that at all, but I do assist sometimes. That was another conversation that Dino had with the guy from West Union Trenching about, what do you call it? GIS mapping.
Yeah.
That could be really effective. Then that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
We could consult those maps and we would know.
Yeah, and I've actually had conversations with the county. You know, the county pays for Beacon. I've asked the county if it's possible that we host our zoning map on there and also electrical GIS layer. And so it's possible for us to get layers added to the Beacon that are just for us. So now that like West Union went over there, they know exactly where the lines are. It's on a GIS map. So once we implement those maps to Beacon, we'll be able to know where everything is. As we, you know, obviously the map will grow over time as we dig and find things that we didn't know were there. We'll be able to document this stuff. So, yeah, thank you. And then, yeah, so I think that's in a nutshell what happened down there. And then, you know, the Lutheran home asked to be reimbursed. This is the first time for me as city administrator that a request like this has come through, so I thought it was appropriate to have a discussion about it with the city council, get direction on it, and use that direction for, you know, for future discussions. And then I also put a memo with things to consider, and first and foremost that Strawberry Point City Code 82.11 lays it out pretty clearly that we're not responsible for, you know, the electricity being on 24/7. And then I researched the law a little bit, and there is a potential limit to that law, and that is if we operated with negligence, right? Like if we just went in there and just willy-nilly tore up whatever and, you know, caused an incident. What happened down there was nothing close to negligence. It was literally, we didn't know what we didn't know, and when they started digging, they found out. So I feel very comfortable that we're not at a negligent fault here, and that it's just a legitimate accident. And then I think some other things to consider is they have the generators. I don't know why the other half of their building isn't hooked up to the generator. And then, you know, occasional power outages and staff time. As far as I'm concerned, it's just the cost of doing business. Like, these are things that happen frequently, you know, around, and sometimes you have to bring in extra help, and sometimes it's, you know, your generator's gonna burn some gas. And then, the other thing that we need to consider is, like, just from general government, you know, these are taxpayer funds that would be paying for these things, and we have a fiduciary duty to protect those funds, you know, from claims that are not legally required. So I'm afraid that if we say yes, and obviously this isn't me saying yes or no, it's the council, if we do say yes, this opens a precedent box that is very hard to close. So our staff recommendation is to answer the letter kindly, let them know that a reimbursement is just not possible. But that's everything I have on it, and I thought I would get the feedback and the direction from you.
I agree with that. We gotta stick to our code. I also just wanna mention though, if we're going to meetings and we're saying things that maybe aren't always accurate, I mean, we can't guarantee anything when we're doing a project like that. We can't guarantee that we won't hit a line, that we won't have power. We need to let them know, you know, anything could happen.
Yeah.
You know, so anytime there's a project that we should
I think
probably.
it'd be different if, like, okay, that line was active and then it was hit, it would be a different circumstance, but, you know, like if we knew that was the line and we hit it, but that was not the case, so.
Yeah, and I think that hits a nail on the head. Like, if we knew that it was negligence, I'd be the first one in line saying we should do something about it, but it was an honest to goodness, like, they had no idea what had even happened, when it happened, so.
Right. And we had other instances where power was out in this town, and we had certain people that had businesses with coolers and that. You were on the council, and I remember sitting
And
out
we
in
have to
the
stick
audience.
to our guns, and that's what our
Yes.
ordinance states, and
And I-
unfortunately, we can't
Yeah.
You can't,
always control what happens.
yeah.
Yeah.
that's
And
right.
we will certainly be more cautious with our confidence about the projects and make sure to set realistic expectations when we're presenting at their meetings.
Correct.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, are we pretty sure that the issues down there at the Lutheran home are above board now, and we are conscious of where things are, and this probably should not happen again?
That's correct. Like, we know where the lines are now. The one box that was not being used is now being used, so we have it mapped out. We know where the lines are. That sort of issue wouldn't happen again. And then we will strongly encourage the Lutheran home to put the second half of their building, on their generators so that, when the power does go out, and the power will go out again at some point with a storm or whatever, that side of the building is also protected. We believe that they have enough generator power to cover both sides of the building, so it's just a matter of hooking it up, which should not be too expensive.
Do we need to take a vote on how we're gonna proceed with this, if we're gonna pay?
We can, it's just a
Or do you
discussion.
have the,
So if there's a consensus to say no, then we don't need to vote on it. I can see the consensus.
yeah,
It's not necessary to have a vote on
so
it.
you can go ahead and,
Yeah, before I took the liberty on this and future ones, I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page and I wasn't
Yes.
making an assumption.
and I understand you need to just.
And the Lutheran home is pretty well figured out what the issue was with the help of others, and they can sort through it now.
Yeah, the issue is solved. Obviously they still could hook up the other part of the building on their generator, but as far as electricity going to their property, everything has been solved, mapped, documented. We know what the boxes are and where the electricity is going, so it should not be a recurring issue over there.
Okay.
All right? Thank you.
The box is being used, why don't you stay it up?
Oh, no, it's
It
being
is
used
being
now. It wasn't being used, and then nobody took it out, and so, but now it's in use again.
Is there other business?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We're adjourned. Okay, I'm sorry, it's 16.
All right, so wait, who made the motion to?
Those two.
These two, all right, let's see, your motion to adjourn, 1 and 2, and okay, at 6:16. All right, very good. Thank you, everybody.